Hey, welcome World Entertainment and Happy New Year to all of you, even though we are now on day 1 of 2024. But what we're about to take a look at is what exactly films are meant to come up this year and which ones we think will succeed and which ones we think will flop. Now, obviously, the list we're going to look at isn't everything that's coming out. It's not all the top tiers. And a lot of them may change. Some of them could get pushed to 2025, delayed maybe even further. Maybe some of them even get scrapped altogether. Who knows? But we're going to take a look. And as you can see, we've got the list up here. So we're going to have a look. And by the looks of it, there's only one movie worth mentioning coming out in January, which is funny. So we'll look at the first tier where we've got 5 movies, and each tier has 5 movies. So the first tier is Night Swim, Argyle, Madam Web, Dune Part 2, and Kung Fu Panda 4. Now, out of all of them movies, which do I think will succeed? Which do I think will fail? Which do I think will do okay? And this is the thing. This is literally what I think will succeed and what I think will fail. It's not what I'm saying absolutely will succeed or fail. You know, it's not like, oh, the numbers say this is going to happen. This is just my opinion. So we'll have a look. So Night Swim. We'll start with Night Swim, January 5th, which is a horror movie coming out. I think that will do okay. And the reason I say that is because it's a horror film. I'm not sure who's releasing it. If it's Blumhouse, it'll probably do okay because it'll probably be made for next to nothing and earn a fair bit at the box office. That's how these horror movies normally go. It's really weird, but that seems to be the thing where it's like we put next to nothing into it, people go and see them, we earn money. Argyle on the 12th of February, I think will do okay. I don't think it's going to be this massive box office smash hit, but I think it'll do okay. I think word of mouth will work very strongly with this movie regarding Henry Cavill. Basically, how much of the movie is he actually in there, because he's actually a made up character in it. And I don't mean, I know every movie is a made up character, but his performance and stuff, what he is in the film, which is meant to be this spy, is meant to be told through a narrative of a story being told. So he's not a real person walking around in the movie, if you know what I mean. And apparently they dropped a new trailer. I haven't seen a new trailer yet, and it's meant to be a bit so I think it'll do fine. I don't know if it'll do great. Madam Web, February 14th, absolute flop. That thing is gonna flop and flop hard, because just by that trailer alone, number 1, no one's interested in it. Number 2, nobody's talking about it. And number 3, the acting in that trailer is horrendous. It looks like they are literally, just give me the money and let me go home. They look so disinterested in it, and it looks god awful. So that's absolutely gonna flop. March 1st, Dune Part 2. I think it's going to do well. I don't think it's going to do gangbusters at the box office, but I think it'll do well. And the reason I say I don't think it's going to do no one's talking about it really, which is weird. There's not a massive push of promotion yet, which that's not too strange, but at the same time, it is a little bit weird that they're not kind of pushing it harder. And 2, I put out the trailer for the thing and next to no one has watched that video, which says to me no one's interested in it. I hope it does well, because I think it looks fantastic, but we'll have to wait and see. March 29th, Kung Fu Panda 4. That thing is going to do gangbusters. I'm pretty sure all the Kung Fu Panda movies have done really well. I can't even remember when the last one came out. It was a good few years ago now, wasn't it? But I think there's enough interest in those type of movies where it's not pushing anything. It's not Disney. I don't think so anyway. And people seem to really like the Kung Fu Panda movie, so I think that one will do really well. I did remember hearing about some actor that's now going to do one to voice it, but I can't remember who it is. So, but I think that one will do really well. Now we're into the second tier, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I think is going to do quite well. Again, I don't think it's going to do gangbusters, but I think it'll do much better than Afterlife. And the reason being is, number one, they're back in New York. I think a lot of the Ghostbuster fans will be drawn in by, oh, we're back in New York. And Sony didn't shy away from showing you the original cast back in the movie. So I think that one is going to do quite well. Godzilla x Kong, the new Empire, I think that will do quite well. It doesn't matter what you think about the trailer stuff, all of these movies seem to do quite well. There just seems to be a draw in for the kaiju type of movies. And I think this one will be the same. It's going to draw an audience in. I know there's quite a lot of people out there going, oh, that trailer sucks. But don't write these movies off. They always do well. Even Godzilla vs. Kong did quite well. And that was pretty much not released on the big screen because of COVID at the time. So I think that one will do well. If on the May 17th, I have no idea how that movie will do. I know it's Ryan Reynolds, but there doesn't seem to be much interest in it. There doesn't seem to be really much known about it. And there really doesn't seem to be any push for it. Which it really doesn't need to have that much of a push at this stage. But at the same time, you'd like to see something that says, this movie's coming. But I'm not hearing great things about that one. So that could go either way. I'm not 100% sure. 24th of May, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, I think will flop. I do not think that movie will do well, mainly because I don't think anyone has been asking for it. And definitely, who the hell has been asking for a prequel to the Mad Max? And it's not even a prequel to Mad Max, it's a prequel to Fury Road because it was based on Furiosa. So I do not see that movie doing well. If they made the same mistake they did with Fury Road, that means they put so much money into it that it's probably not going to break even. But time will tell. And last in the second tier is May 24th, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think that movie will do quite well. Mainly because it's a sequel to the first three that came out, which of course was Rise of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes and whatever the other one was called. The only downside to it, which I think might linger with a few people, is that it's going to be under the Disney umbrella. But at the same time, I think it's going to do quite well. June 7th, we're now into the third tier. Ballerina, which is a spin-off of John Wick. That could go either way. I really don't know. No one seems to be talking about it. I don't think a lot of people know about it. Until they start promoting it is when we're really going to get the gist of what's going to happen. Will it land? Will it not? I believe it's Ana de Armas who's going to be the star of that. We'll have to wait and see. But if it's going on the John Wick name, I think it might do okay. We'll have to wait and see. Bad Boys 4 then on June 14th is one of those ones where you really don't know what's going to happen. This will be Will Smith's first proper movie out on the big screen since the Oscar slap. And I think that's going to be quite telling how much people want to invest in him. If this thing bombs, do we look at it and say it's because of the slap? Or do we say it's just because it's a bad movie? It's really hard to say. It's going to be an interesting one. I don't know what way to put that movie, whether it's going to be a bomb, be a hit, or be somewhere in the middle where it's, received well, but doesn't do great, but doesn't do poorly. Time will tell. June 14th, Inside Out 2. Again, I don't know. I'm not sure how the first movie did, but again, does anyone even know that this one is happening? It's going to be an interesting one. We'll have to wait and see. June 28th, A Quiet Place Day 1. Now, this is a prequel to A Quiet Place. I think this one will do quite well because the first two Quiet Places did quite well. The first one did really well. I don't think the second one made as much money, but it still did well enough. A prequel, I don't know whether that will get people's interest, but I think there will be enough there that it'll do okay. July, we are now in July 3rd, Despicable Me 4. I think that will do gangbusters. I think that thing is just gonna crush it. People really like the character of Gru. People love the Minions. Those movies always do well. I think that thing is gonna do gangbusters. It's not gonna be $1 billion movie, but I think it's gonna do really, really well. July 19th, Twisters. The sequel, that's not really a sequel, but it's absolutely a sequel, but it's not connected to the original of Twister. Yeah, wrap that one around your head. Twisters. I think it's gonna flop. To be honest with you, I think it's gonna flop. I think there's gonna be too much confusion. Where they're calling it Twisters, the writing is the same as Twister, but then the director and stuff are saying it's not a sequel, but it's not a reboot. It's its own story. You could literally say it's a sequel, but it's not connected to the first film's characters. It's its own story, but you didn't. You're going off on this weird, oh, it's not this, it's not that, it's not that. It's gonna flop. And to be honest, the first Twister, I hate that movie. I know a lot of people love it. That was one of the first movies I went to see on the big screen and walked out going, that sucked. I don't know why they want a sequel to it. And if it's not a sequel, and it's not a remake and not a reboot, not anything, why call it Twisters? Why not call it like Super Tornadoes or some crap? Then we go to July 26th, Deadpool 3. This movie, I think, will do well. There's a lot of people saying it's going to make $1 billion. I do not see it making $1 billion, but I think it's going to do really well. Mainly because it's going to be not just Deadpool, but Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Word of mouth is going to play a massive part on that movie. If people come out of that and go, oh, that is not the movie we thought we were getting, it could really badly affect it. Time will tell. But I think that one is going to do really well. I'm talking about 850, 900 million. It's not hitting $1 billion, but I think it's going to be well up there. And of course, now that it's Disney, the budget is going to be super high, so we'll wait and see. August 9th, Borderlands. To start with, I had no idea they were making that movie. Actually, I think I do. Yeah, I think I do remember. I don't think it's going to do well. Number one, it's a adaptation of a video game. They never do particularly well. And number two, there's just no one talking about it. So, yeah, I think that's going to bomb. So, August 16th, Alien Romulus. This movie is a weird one because, number one, everything about it I've been hearing lately is that it's not actually going to be on the big screen. It's going to drop straight onto Hulu, much like Prey did. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Some articles seem to say that it's absolutely coming out on the big screen, but everything else I've been seeing about this is saying it's going to be straight to Hulu. But if it ends up on the big screen, will it succeed? For me, personally, I say no. I think it's going to flop if it goes on the big screen. And for a multitude of reasons. Number one, I think the fans have been burned too many times with the Alien franchise. Prometheus and Alien Covenant, people really just went no. Then even Alien Resurrection and Alien 3 burnt people. And even the AVP movies, people freaked over. So reintroducing the Alien franchise to the big screen, I don't think will work quite as well. Number two is, of course, it's under Disney's umbrella, which I think will put a lot of people off. But three, and this is the big one, why I think this movie won't work and people won't accept it, is the cast isn't just practically unknowns, but they're super young. It's basically kids in space. And I think everyone's just going to go, hell no to that. So I do not, if it gets released on the big screen and not straight to streaming, I do not think it will work. August 30th, we then go, which is the last for this tier, Kraven the Hunter. I think it's going to flop as badly as Madam Web. Yes, this one is R-rated and they're showing you, oh, look at the violence in it. I just don't think there's enough interest in it, and I don't think there's enough people who even know who the hell Kraven is, and I don't think anyone practically particularly cares. September 6th, Beetlejuice 2. This one is a hard one to say whether or not it's going to do well or not. I think personally it will do well. How well, I don't know. We'd have to find out exactly how much money they've put into this to see if it will break even and whatnot. But I think there might be enough interest with the original cast and Jenna Ortega being brought in to this one that it will absolutely draw people in. I don't think it's going to draw enough new generation people in, the younger people, but I think there's going to be enough of us old farts that will absolutely want to go and see it. And of course the first trailer will be a big tell, but I think it'll do okay. This next one is interesting because I thought it was meant to be a series, and by the looks of this, it's a film. So on September 13th, Transformers 1, which is the animated property that they're doing, which again I thought was meant to be a series, but judging by this, it's a film. Now this is the one that Chris Hemsworth is meant to voice Optimus Prime, and I think it will do terrible at the box office. I don't know about flop, I don't know about break even, but I do not think it's going to do well, especially when people start hearing a voice that's Optimus Prime that is not the original voice of Optimus Prime. I think people will reject that. And again, I thought this was meant to be a series, but it looks like it's meant to be a film, and I just don't see it working. Rise of the Beast was horrendous. It was a god-awful movie, and I don't see this one working any better. October 4th, this is the one that is a head scratcher for what in God's name will this thing do? Joker 2, aka Joker Folie à Deux, the musical. What the hell will this movie do? When we think the first Joker movie made over $1 billion, what will this possibly do? I think it's gonna do really well. I just do not know how well it will do. Again, much like Beetlejuice, I think this is gonna come so much down to word of mouth. And if people are walking out of this going, what the hell was this movie? I think it could struggle, but I think it's going to do well enough because I think there's going to be so much interest in it. It's the musical aspect of it that I think is going to turn a lot of people off. It's going to be an interesting one. November 8th, Venom 3, I think will just about break even. I think it's not going to do great, but I don't think it's going to do terrible. I think it's going to be kind of just somewhere there in the middle. You know, break even, probably just about make a bit of profit, but not the profit that a studio would want to sing about, you know, because I don't think it's going to be that much. It's also said to be Tom Hardy's final outing as Eddie Brock, aka Venom. So we'll wait and see what happens. But the next one, which is the last one on this tier, is a strange one. November 22nd, Gladiator 2. This thing I think will flop and flop hard. Not just is it far too long since the first movie, not just are people gonna scratch their head and go, why is Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal in this thing? I think so many people are going to go, why in God's name is there a Gladiator 2? And we are all asking that, why is there a Gladiator 2? Ridley Scott is directing it, and Ridley Scott hasn't had a hit since, I don't know, so many years ago. I think the last one he did that was received really well was The Martian, and before that was like 20 years before that movie, before he hit a success. So I do not see that working. I have never heard anyone saying, you know what, we need a Gladiator 2. So I think that's gonna flop. This one again is an interesting one. This is an animated one again from what I remember hearing, but it's Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim on December 13th. This one could be interesting. I'm not sure what way it's going to work, whether it's even going to come out or not, whether they just dump it on streaming, but this one could be interesting if it gets released on the big screen. I do not know. Being an animated movie, I do not know how many people it would pull in to actually watch it on the big screen. Could be quite a lot, but it'll be an interesting one. So I really don't know what's up. I don't think it'll fail. I don't think it will be under a break even, but we'll have to wait and see what that one actually does. But it's definitely one to keep your eyes on. December 13th, again, this one is the one that people have been talking about. The Karate Kid. That's right, the new Karate Kid with Ralph, what's his second name? The original Karate Kid, and Jackie Chan, which confirms that they are introducing the remake of Karate Kid with Will Smith's kid, whatever his name, what was it, Jaden Smith? That is now canon with the original Karate Kid movies. People are a bit on edge about it. They very much want to know, is Cobra Kai gonna be a part of it? We don't know yet. I think it will do okay depending what the story is. But again, I think we might have to wait and see. December 20th, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I think this movie will do quite well. Again, not gangbusters, but I think it will do really well. The first two did really well, so much so that they made a second one and now pushed through for a third movie. It was received quite well. I like those movies. Let's not forget, the director got so much heat because when that first trailer for that first movie dropped and people were, what the hell is that thing? That's not Sonic. He turned around and went, we're sorry about that. That's our bad. We're going to stop and redesign him, and made him look like Sonic. And he got so much hate from the media. And other studios go, how dare you actually listen to the fans? But he did. And the movie ended up being a massive success. Hence why they got a sequel, which did really well. Hence why you now have a Sonic 3 coming out in December of next year. Or this year. And then the last movie we're going to look at is also the 20th of December. This one I think is going to flop. And the reason I think it's going to flop is, number one, it's Disney. Number two, it's going against Sonic. And number three, who the hell was asking for this? A Mufasa movie. And yes, from what I understand, it's going to be that CGI, what they're trying to call live action, but it's not live action, version of the Lion King spin-off. Why? Who wants a Mufasa film? To anyone, raise your hands if you want a Mufasa movie. That's right, no one does. No one's been asking for it. Why they think this is a good idea, God only knows. And I think this is also going to be another horrendous year for Disney. But there you go, that's the list that we're looking at right now. What will land, what will fail, these are all my opinion. You know, if you think it's going to succeed, cool. If you think it's going to flop, cool. Otherwise, we're just going to have to wait and see what the hell happens. Majority of them I think are going to do fine. Anything on there going to hit $1 billion? I don't think so. I actually do not think anything on that list is going to hit $1 billion. But we're going to have to wait and see. And let's see what actually happens, because it's going to be a very interesting year. And let's see if half of this even comes out this year. That will be interesting as well. So with that, I will say like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know the drill by now. And I will catch you in the next one.